Hello everyone, Danny here today to talk to you about the audiobook Face the Music, a Space Opera Noir Novella. Say that 3 times really fast. This book's a little different for me. It is not a style of book that I've ever listened to, not a style of book that I've ever been into, and on top of that, it is the first time I've ever been asked by a narrator to do a review of an audiobook. I've had subscribers ask me. I've had authors ask me. I've never had a narrator ask me. And even though it's not a book style that I've ever done before, I like trying new book styles. You never know. I mean, 2 years ago, I'd never heard of, let alone listened to, a lit RPG book. And then I had a subscriber say, hey, you ought to check this out. And it is one of my absolute favorite genres right now. The two main storylines that I'm really into, two of the main storylines that I'm really into right now are both lit RPGs. So you never know what you're going to discover when you try something new. This one was very interesting to me. And yes, I did, before you wonder, I did enjoy the book very much. It's not a style of book that I think I'm going to get into like I got into lit RPG. It's just not my style that much, but it is a style of book that I will be checking out again because it fits a niche in my moods. What do I mean by that? Before I get to that, I have a favor to ask. If you like my channel, please subscribe. Turn on notifications. Come join me on my audiobook journey. What do I mean by it fits my moods? So I am one of those types of people that I like a huge variety of music. The music I'm listening to at the moment depends upon the mood I'm in. If you look at my playlists, they're not titled country western, rock and roll, anything like that. They're titled beachy music because I'm in the mood for being at the beach. So I've got a playlist made up for being at the beach. Barbecue, because I'm in the mood for sunny barbecue. It's that way with books too. There's a reason that like the Harry Potter books, I listen to them annually. I only listen to the Harry Potter books in the wintertime because there's just something about a dark, stormy night in Harry Potter that fits. It's gonna be that way with, I don't know what genre this is, but with this genre of space detective. So Face the Music is about a private detective jazz singer, and he lives in the city, Xenos City, in outer space somewhere. And it's a combination of a space science fiction and the 50s, 60s hard-bitten detective. Now, I grew up listening to a lot of your old-time radio programs. So your old-time detectives, Johnny Dollar, the Fat Man, Richard Diamond. That's kind of what this book is aiming for. It doesn't hit and feel like one of those old-time radio programs for the majority of the book. There are moments in the book that took me back and made it feel that way. But for the majority of the book, it did not, because there's too much humor in it. There's a lot of humor in this book. And the author had a lot of fun inventing, which is what I would expect an author to do. He had a lot of fun inventing aliens and describing aliens. And there are a lot of moments in the book that actually made me think of Star Wars. Because Star Wars, you've got a lot of space series, and some of them really good, like the Firefly, only 1 season. What's with that? Only 1 season. But Firefly, you just had humans. You never had any aliens. And you've got a lot of space to Star Wars. you've got a huge variety of aliens. And it's that way with this, a huge variety of aliens. But the author went beyond just describing the aliens' different bodily features and functions. He used their different cultures and habits in the book. And that was what really I found fascinating. So I was expecting, so jazz singer gets a phone call from some family friends, and they're alien friends. They're not human friends. And they want him to investigate the death of his friend Urte, who committed suicide. And Jazz doesn't believe that Urte would commit suicide because it's against that alien's being. It's against who they are. So he investigates, and right away, even you as the listener, right away, you know this was not a suicide. There's no way this was a suicide. So as he starts digging into it, you're expecting it to be some kind of a governmental conspiracy. And I don't want to give away the book. It's a short book, by the way. This is just 3 hours and 40-some minute book. So it's not a very long book at all. But right away, I mean, not right away, through the entire book, that's what you're expecting him to discover. Some kind of a grand government conspiracy. Because there is governmental things happening at the same time. And you expect it to get tied to those. When the reason for the murder is finally revealed, it's a very unique reason, and it's a reason that you could only have in a book like this. The narrator wanted me to talk about the book, so naturally I'm going to talk about the narrator. The narrator does a great job. You've got a lot of different voices, a lot of different dialects to come into play, a lot of different emotions in the book. You've got a lot of humor that's got to be brought out. The way the book came across to me, and the way I believe the author was aiming to go with this book, was the hard-bitten 50s, 60s detective with a lot of humor added in, which the old hard-bitten, by the way, interesting bit of trivia here, that just shows how much humans as a race have grown in the last 80 years or so. In the 1950s, guess what was considered an extremely fat person? What weight? So the fat man, 1950s old-time radio program, all about this detective that's fat. And a big deal is made out about how fat he is. Guess how fat he is? 239 pounds. I remember there's one of my favorite old-time radio series, I Love Adventure. On one of them, they run into the fattest man they've ever seen. And Doc Long makes a comment, why, this must be the fattest man I've ever seen. He must weigh at least 200 pounds. I weigh 200 pounds. I'm a little guy. I mean, you see me around town here. And I don't mean little guy fat-wise. I live in a very fit community. I'm a little guy height-wise. I'm 5'8", so I'm not a tall person, but I weigh 200 pounds. Most people I know weigh more than 200 pounds. 80 years ago, that was considered a really large person, which to me, I find that very interesting. So there's a bit of trivia that has nothing to do with the book at hand. But what he's aiming for is that 50s, 60s hard-bitten detective. There was one element in the book that threw the storyline off. It didn't fit with the storyline, and I personally didn't really like it. And that was when he would talk about his mom. His mom came up a lot in the book. Jazz's mom comes up a lot in the book. And it seems like the mom, if she's going to come up as often as she does, she needs to either have a greater impact on the detective, or he needs to have a better relationship with her, to me. I felt like the mom that is described in the book would have had a greater negative impact on the detective. And he brings his mom up and he thinks about his mom, but he doesn't ever think about the impact that she had on him, other than the fact that now he's got these other friends because of her, and that's why he's from the area that he's from, and that kind of stuff. So the mom could have been left out of the book or used differently for me. Other than that, I really, truly enjoyed this book series. It's part of a 4-part series, the first book in a 4-part series. It's going to be one of those that when I'm in the mood for something short, when I'm in the mood for something nostalgic, when I'm in the mood for something really light and humorous. There was never a moment in this book that had me at the edge of my seat, all drama, stuff like that. It was more of a light, humorous feel to the book series. That's when I'm going to pull this off the shelf and listen to it and go ahead and finish this series, because it was a good enough book that I'm definitely going to finish this series. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you like my channel, hit subscribe. Turn on notifications. Most importantly, no matter what else you do today, make sure that today you listen to at least one really good audiobook. And yes, I definitely recommend Face the Music, a Space Opera Noir Novella. Like I said, say that 3 times really fast. Have a good day.